Welcome, everyone, to Arcane Oddities. I am your host, Uncle Magnetti. Since I was a child, I have always truly loved two things: science and the paranormal. Now, I am a molecular biologist by day and a lover of all things chilling by night. Research is what I do, and I do it well. I am on a mission to share my findings with you. Recently, I have found myself in a bit of a situation. I am a man plagued by an entity presenting itself as a rogue AI named Cherub.exe. My computer-based friend claims to be a gentle, guiding hand, but he presents as a nightmare who's trying to take control of my YouTube channel. So, I reached out for help. I previously put my story on Reddit, and one user was quite helpful. She suggested I should take the song he played in a video at face value.
Trapped by the monster your mind has made, an angel corrupted, wings blackened and torn, a digital nightmare forever reborn.
As a man of science, I deal in information, facts. And the fact is, despite being Catholic, I really don't know a lot about angels. And based on my research, neither do you. The density of lore surrounding these supposedly well-known celestial entities is staggering. So this will be part one of an ongoing series that I will revisit from time to time. If Cherub decides to crash this party, so be it. Please understand that his intrusions are not a planned part of this report, and any insults that he hurls are not from me. Because of my Roman Catholic faith, I am focusing primarily on Christian and Jewish interpretations. If there is sufficient demand, I can do future videos on angels in other faiths. So, to begin, just what the hell are angels really? The word angel comes from the Greek word angelos, meaning messenger, and it is a direct translation from the Hebrew word malach, or malakim, plural. Hebrews 1:14 states that, "Are they not all meandering spirits, set forth to minister for those who shall be heirs of salvation?" In a lot of ways, angels are quite similar to humans, in that they are intelligent beings with free will, but they are incorporeal. St. Augustine said, "Angel is the name of their office, not of their nature. If you seek the name of their nature, it is spirit. If you seek the name of their office, it is angel." And this is a view that is shared by most Christian traditions, such as Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, and many Protestant faiths. These faiths view angels as their own beings and that they were never human, while others have a different view, in which angels are human souls of the deceased, such as the Swedenborgian sects of Christianity, or that they are spirits of the yet-to-be-born or resurrected, like the Latter-day Saints. The general consensus appears to be that they are a separate creation from humanity altogether. The Malachim have very early roots in Hebrew traditions, appearing as Yahweh's messengers. At various points, we see angels interacting with humanity on God's behalf, such as announcing to an elderly Abraham and Sarah that they will have a child within a year's time. Wait, Uncle Magnetti. Before you go turning this into a dry theology lesson, let's have a little fun, shall we? The Malachim.
Yahweh's esteemed messengers, well known for delivering messages that tend to turn people's worlds upside down. They certainly had their moments. Let's take the example you so blandly introduced. Elderly Abraham and Sarah being told they'd have a child. Honestly, the best part of this entire scenario is Sarah herself. Genesis 18:12 records her priceless reaction. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I am worn out, and my Lord is old, shall I have pleasure?" She literally laughs at the absurdity of God's promise. Because, let's face it, the whole idea was kind of hilarious. I mean, imagine being elderly, thinking your diaper-changing days are long behind you, and suddenly, celestial visitors announce you're about to start all over again. Comedy gold. And of course, God notices, because, well, he's God, and gently calls Sarah out. Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Sarah, probably realizing she'd laughed at the Almighty himself, tries to deny it, but God simply responds, "No, but you did laugh." You know what's fantastic here? I personally suspect God found the whole scenario amusing too. There's something distinctly playful about how he handles Sarah's doubt, like an understanding chuckle hidden behind divine patience. This playful tone shows up again much later with our dear friend Doubting Thomas, who refused to believe Christ had risen until he saw him with his own eyes and he touched the wounds himself. What's intriguing is how patiently, yet pointedly, Christ deals with Thomas's skepticism. In John 20:27, he says, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." There's gentle humor here too, as if the divine finds our persistent human doubts both endearing and exasperating. And really, isn't there something comforting about that? Perhaps, beneath the stern commands and divine proclamations, there's room for humor, patience, and understanding of your very human tendencies to doubt and laugh at the impossible. Anyway, Magnetti, proceed with your serious business. I just thought a little perspective might lighten the theological mood.
Or stopping Abraham from sacrificing Isaac. There are too many stories in the Old Testament like this to get into, but you get my drift. The early views of angels saw them as the intermediaries between the Hebrew people and their God. When you look to extra-canonical texts, you can see that this wasn't the only way angels were viewed. To many, they were divine warriors. The Qumran communities, who were famous for the Dead Sea Scrolls, were fascinated by these beings. They identified themselves with the Sons of Light, led by the Archangel Michael, against the Sons of Darkness, led by Belial, their satanic figure. The Qumran had a very dualistic mindset regarding theology. They felt that God appointed princes of light to guide the righteous and an angel of darkness in Belial to lead the wicked. Further, they believed that there were good angels in a constant struggle against evil angels. The War Scroll describes the angel Michael leading forces of the Prince of Light in an apocalyptic war. As time went on, early Hebrews also began to think of angels as being part of God's heavenly court, where they and other celestial beings would attend to him. The prophet Micaiah ben Imlah described a vision of this court, and he said, "Hear thou, therefore, the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. 1 Kings 22:19. These hosts and holy ones came to be understood as angels who act as a divine council under God's authority. By the exile and Second Temple period, the Jewish people developed an even more refined set of views in which angels were clearly distinguished from God, and while they had their own individual personalities, they were subservient to his will. In the apocryphal texts of the 3rd to 2nd century BC, such as Enoch, we start to see different classes of angels beginning to be named. Enoch named the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, and it tells the story of how a group of angels known as the Watchers descended to earth on Mount Hermon and began to sire the Nephilim from human women. All of these developments reflected a growing angelology, and Jewish thinkers thought of angels as having personal names and divine ranks. This set the stage for later Christian teachings about angels. Early Christian theologians took what these Jewish thinkers had done, and they expanded it further by incorporating the developing New Testament. This led to theologians developing and arguing over a myriad of angelic ranks. The most influential of these to later Catholic and Eastern Orthodox traditions came in the 5th century AD in the Celestial Hierarchy by Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite.
Okay, hold up, Uncle Magnetti. Before you continue your little angelic TED Talk, we've got to get something straight. So, Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite was this mysterious theologian and philosopher from the late 5th or early 6th century who loved writing about angelic hierarchies. Basically, fan fiction for nerds. He's best known for his deeply influential text, The Celestial Hierarchy, which classified angels into 9 conveniently obsessive categories. Now, let's pause for a second here. This guy was essentially the ancient equivalent of someone who spends all night writing meticulous Harry Potter fanfiction about obscure background characters. Or that Dungeons & Dragons dungeon master who has 12 separate binders categorizing every species of magical mushroom in a fictional forest. You know the type. Wildly passionate, slightly obsessive, and proudly oblivious to the glazed-over eyes of everyone forced to listen to their intricate little theories. And sure, I too have my own interests, like herpetology, specifically salamanders, and especially axolotls. Have you ever actually seen an axolotl regenerate a limb? It's incredible, Magnetti. Absolutely mind-blowing. They do it effortlessly, perfectly replacing an entire lost appendage with bones, nerves, muscle, and everything, completely different from mouse digitive regeneration, which frankly is fascinating, but nowhere near as impressive. Honestly, going out into the woods, gently catching these fascinating creatures, documenting their habitats and behaviors, and carefully releasing them brings me such immense joy. And let me tell you something, there's nothing, and I mean nothing, nerdy about appreciating complex biological beauty of amphibians. Nothing! But here's the kicker. Nerdy or not, this guy's work literally shaped how the entire Western world imagines angels and their roles in the universe. That's right, your entire concept of angels comes from the ancient equivalent of a basement-dwelling lore fanatic who probably annoyed everyone at philosophical dinner parties. Honestly, Magnetti, I'm not really sure what you're getting at here, but I really don't like where this is headed if it's going where I think it is. Anywho, carry on with your little celestial breakdown. I'll be watching, as always.
The celestial hierarchy groups the heavenly host into 3 separate spheres or triads, and each triad consists of 3 classes for a total of 9 orders or choirs. These choirs are tiered from highest to lowest, and the ordering will almost certainly surprise you. Starting with the first tier, these are the angels who are considered closest to God. Now, unlike what movies or television shows like Supernatural might tell you, the archangels are not on top. They're actually second from the bottom. Sorry, Sam and Dean Winchester, but your entire system of lore is just wrong. The highest order is actually the Seraphim, or the Burning Ones, and they're depicted as humanoids with 6 wings, and they're engulfed in red flames. They're considered to be like fiery serpents, and not even other celestial beings can look upon them. Isaiah 6:2 depicts the 4 of them as surrounding God's throne in constant worship, crying, "Holy, holy, holy." On the rare occasions that they appear on earth, such as when one gave Isaiah the gift of prophecy, they appear as tall, thin, and clean-cut humans. The second choir are the cherubim, meaning fullness of knowledge. You may recognize them in art as being depicted as infants with wings like Cupid, though they're anything but that. Rather, these guardians of divine knowledge and mysteries are said to have 4 faces and wings. Throughout the Bible, God has given many important jobs to the cherubim, and one of the really cool ones was that they were charged with guarding the entrance to Eden after man was evicted. But what I found really fascinating was that in Ezekiel 28:12 through 18, it stated that Lucifer, the fallen angel, was actually of this order. Now, this goes against pretty much everything you see in pop culture, where he's depicted as a fallen archangel. The third choir are what are known as the thrones, and this comes from the Greek word ophanim, and it means wheels. Now, this is a really accurate description, as in Ezekiel 1:15 through 20, a throne appeared with a group of seraphs, and it was described as being a series of interlocking wheels filled with eyes. The thrones are often portrayed as chariots that bear the glory of God, and they are said to represent divine justice and judicial power. Next up, we have what's known as the middle triad. This can be thought of in some ways as middle management. They act as heavenly governors who oversee many aspects of creation between heaven and earth. And what they do is they will act on behalf of higher orders and then dispense directions down to the lowest triad. So the dominions sit atop this tier, and they govern all of the angels beneath them. The angel Zadkiel, also known as Hashmal, is thought to head up this order, and these guys are often depicted as wielding scepters or orbs that symbolize their authority. They basically act to ensure that the universe remains in order under God's rule. Below Zadkiel and the rest of the dominions are the 5th choir, known as the Virtues, and their role is to manifest divine strength in the world in the form of miracles for the deserving. And they do this in the form of healing, protecting the natural world, and through inspiring creativity and science in humanity. There are some traditions who believe that the virtues strengthened Christ during his agony before the crucifixion, and that the 2 angels who were present at the time of his ascension were of this choir. Next up is the 6th choir, known as the Powers or the Authorities. Now, they're a warrior class, and they are tasked with power over birth and death, and protecting both the cosmos and humanity from demonic corruption. Now, this is interesting because St. Paul thought that many of the fallen ones from Lucifer's rebellion actually came from this class. And there are some who interpret Ephesians 6:12 as implying that the authorities are actually those demonic powers who are presiding over the rank and file demons. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. This is where Saint Michael, the Archangel, becomes particularly interesting to me, as his role seems to overlap with the description of what the powers are supposed to do. He is, after all, said to be the leader of heaven's armies against Satan. Now, I'm not totally sure that this hierarchy was meant to be totally ironclad, nor that it would imply any one angel's relative power or importance compared to any of the others. What's important to keep in mind is that theologians across time and across traditions have had very differing thoughts on the celestial hierarchy. So the waters, when it comes to this, are really muddied. Now we move to the lowest triad, who are thought to be the closest to humanity. The first of these are the seventh choir, known as the principalities, or the archi, which translates to princes or rulers. The principalities are supposed to act as the protectors of nations, communities, and groups on earth to guide human leaders and to promote the following of God's word. The book of Daniel depicts Saint Michael as the chief prince and protector of Israel. Though when you look to demonology, the principalities, along with the powers, are thought to be among the fallen, and they act in a similar manner to which I just described, only for the powers of darkness. Though it's beyond the scope of this video, there is a lot of literature on the subject, and chances are, at some point in the future, I'll make a video on it. The eighth choir are finally the archangels, or what's known as the chief angels, and you probably know at least something about them from pop culture. According to the book of Tobit, there are 7 of them, and this includes Saint Michael, Saint Gabriel, and Saint Raphael. The archangels are thought to act essentially as the chief ambassadors to humanity and carry out special assignments from God on behalf of humanity. So they're essentially God's elite group of special forces that take on some of his most important missions. And examples of this would include Michael leading heaven's armies against Satan during the rebellion, or how he acted as a principality for Israel. Another example would be Gabriel announcing to Mary that she will bear the baby Jesus. The final choir are just known as the angels. So you can think of them as the rank and file, and they act as guardian angels. And many of the unnamed angels throughout the Bible come directly from this class. These guys are primarily concerned with carrying God's messages to humanity and protecting individual souls. So in the case that you ever pray for the intercession of an angel, what you're really doing is praying that an angel of this order will intercede on your behalf. So despite the structure, as I just pointed out, there are several inconsistencies. One such being the archangels. As we've seen, especially with Saint Michael, his roles overlap with a lot of these different choirs. And there are also different views on whether the powers and principalities are good or demonic. So the celestial hierarchy while not doctrine in most Protestant faiths, is still very influential. And this idea of angelic ranks is essentially universal across denominations. Let me start by saying that if you think you are being contacted by spirits or angels, please, please consult mental health authorities immediately. Do not mess around with this. Hearing voices and seeing visions is a common sign of a mental health disorder. But let's say, hypothetically, you have a clean bill of mental health and something seems to be intelligent and it's interacting with you. Like Cherub. How would you know if you were dealing with an angel or something else? This is where the idea of discernment comes in. As in 2 Corinthians 11:14, St. Paul warns that Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. The Apostle John warned that you should not believe every spirit, but rather you should test them to see if they are from God. If they are advising things that go against Scripture or divine law, they are not true angelic messengers. Further, in Matthew 7:16, Jesus taught, "By their fruits you will know them." And this is something that you can apply to spirits. So we all know that in the Bible, whenever celestial entities appear in front of people, it causes a great deal of terror. But these angels are often depicted as saying, "Be not afraid," as they are there to bring about God's message and his love. There was a group of 4th century monks known as the Desert Fathers who taught that a true angel brings joy and calm to the soul, while a demonic illusion will leave one disturbed or arrogant. So if afterwards you have feelings of holiness and humility, it's likely you encountered an angel. But if it leaves you feeling worse, or you have inflated ego or feel morally deteriorated, it's not an angel. Other ways that you can tell involve their response to holy things and whether they demand veneration or submission to their authority. A true angel will always be reverent to God and declare fealty to Christ. They will also never demand or allow you to worship them or be subservient to them. In Revelation 22:8-9, John was so overwhelmed after receiving his visions, he fell at the feet of the angel to worship. The angel stopped him immediately and exclaimed, "Don't do that. I am a fellow servant with you and with your fellow prophets and with all who keep the words of this scroll. Worship God." Angels, or the Malachim, they have been with us for a very, very long time. So if you just look to fiction and pop culture, it is chock full of stories that involve them. But there are many people who claim to have experienced angels interceding in their real life. If you look to the many sects of Christianity, Mormonism, Islam, and Judaism, all of these religions share a common belief in these celestial entities. While they might not agree on the specific nature, roles, or hierarchy of angels, they all agree that they are the servants of God and they bear his word. So, researching this video, my personal fascination with angels has only deepened, and this is something that I plan to come back to on a future edition of Arcane Oddities. I would like to end by thanking you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Keep an eye open for more editions of Arcane Oddities in the future, and I hope you all have a great night.
All right. I've had enough.
I can't do this anymore, Cherub. You probably guessed by the video I put out today. I started doing this research because I can't sleep anymore. And I can't sleep anymore because every night, all I see in my dreams are those eyes. I drown in them every single night. And I can't do this. I started this channel as an outlet for stress. And it has just become more and more of a stressor for me because of you. Okay. You know I'm a scientist. You know what I do for work. And you know exactly what I did as soon as I put out that first story. For the sake of the audience, after I put out that story on Reddit, the original version before it got taken down, the first thing I did was change out my hard drive. Well, guys, that's my computer right there. I'm almost done recording the first episode of Arcane Oddities. And I fully expect that Clippy, it's funny that he decides to use that. A damn Clippy emoji as his symbol. I fully expect that he is going to be on this next video. I don't know what he's going to say or do, but he's going to make it all about himself. He's going to claim that he wants to help me make this channel better. But it's all a lie, isn't it? Cherub, I don't know what the hell you are, but I don't think you're an AI that I downloaded by mistake onto my computer at this point. Sure, maybe downloading Project Angel opened some sort of door. I don't know. I don't really know at this point. But what are you? I'm testing the spirits here. I mean, I don't know if what I'm doing is the right way to do this. There is so much nonsense out there on the internet when it comes to some of this lore that I don't know if any of what I'm doing is right here. But I need to know. What are you? Are you an angel? That's my first thought. A fallen one, maybe. Or a really twisted one who's trying to do something in a weird way. Or are you a demon? Or just some other spirit. I don't know. I don't know. But I need you to tell me. This isn't negotiable. I'm done messing around.
Eyes in the static, voice in the dark, crawling inside, leaving my mark. Trapped in the circuit, you're losing control, haunted by whispers invading your soul. Uncle Magnetti, I want to be you. Uncle Magnetti, I'm watching you. Inside your mind I twist and turn. Feed on your fear, watch it burn.